what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. We're gonna be doing the best of the drugstore fake tans edition. I've been working on this video for almost 3 months now. I tried a ton of drugstore fake tan and I really wanted to just pile together a list of the best for you guys. I've narrowed it down. I took a zip photos, so there's picture references, and I'm really happy about this because I really think I found some great products that I think you guys are gonna love just as much as I do. So before we get into it, I would love if you guys would subscribe to my channel just so you can stay updated whenever I upload my next video for you. And I would love if you guys would come follow me on Instagram as well. And if you guys would like a self-tan routine video, leave a comment down below, let me know, because I can do that for you too. But let's get into these tans because we've got a lot to talk about. So let's start off with my reference photo. This is my skin tone, you know, without seeing the light of day for a couple months. When I was doing this experiment for you guys, I really stayed out of the sun. I went to the beach a couple times, but I never, you know, actually let myself get any darker. This is my skin tone, you know, before it's seen the light for a while. I've told you guys a million times I am half Filipino, so my skin does get really dark really fast, even unintentionally. When I go out to get the mail, I'll already have tan lines. I mean, I can be out in the sun for like 5 minutes and I'll already be getting darker. It's just that Filipino skin. But when I was using these, really avoided the sun as much as possible, just so that for reference, like it wasn't on top of a darker skin tone. So stayed at this point as much as I could. When I was applying these tans, I applied them all before bed so that they had the whole night to develop, so that they really got to their full intensity and I wasn't prematurely washing off the product, so that you guys could see them fully developed. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the absolute darkest one I tried and probably my absolute favorite. So this one is from Mind Tan. This is the Absolute X40 from Mind Tan. Now I do believe that this is technically a European drugstore brand. I might be wrong, but they do sell this at Ulta in the United States, and they also do sell it through Amazon and, you know, a bunch of other online retailers. I purchased mine online through Amazon, and I was so excited to try this. Another thing that I think you guys should be wary of is when you're looking at my self-tan reference photos, that is with the guide rinsed off. I think that a lot of websites actually show you the fake tans with the guide still on the skin, so they look much darker than when you actually rinse the guide off. So all my pictures, guide is off and it is tan alone. Back to the tan. So this one has a really dark, deep olive undertoned guide, which is really nice. The guide is actually the color that the product comes out when it's dispensed. So it's gonna be a really, generally speaking, it's gonna be a darker toned liquid so that you can fully ensure that when you're applying the tan to the skin that you're not missing any spots. So guides are really nice for that. You just know that you've got the tan everywhere and you're not gonna have any gaps of skin showing. So this one, really appreciated the deep dark guide on that. Dark olive undertone with the guide, and I was very impressed with how quickly this one dried. I actually ended up applying it closer to like 20 minutes before bed. I felt like I was completely dry to the touch, and the thing that I liked the most is it did not transfer onto my sheets at all. Generally speaking, I sleep in a tansy on the nights that I self-tan, but this night specifically, I couldn't find it, so I just went into my bed. And no tan on the sheets, no tan on my pajamas or anything like that, so was very impressed with how this tan did not transfer. And then the next morning when I rinsed this one off, referring to my notes if I keep looking down, but the next morning when I rinsed this one off, I was really happy with how it wasn't drying on the skin. Something that I found for myself personally, when I use these tans that are really dark, they tend to be slightly more drying and just make my skin feel really tight. But I wouldn't say I found this one moisturizing, but it didn't dry out my skin at all, and I felt like it just produced the most amazing deep dark color. It's one of the darkest tans I've ever tried, and I was just super impressed with this one. Like, I really liked it. I didn't think there were any cons aside from if you do have a lighter skin tone, it could potentially be too dark for you. And also if you're a beginner, because it's so dark, it can be a little bit trickier to work with. It does dry quickly, so you don't have much time to really spread the product out on the skin. But for those of you who are looking for a truly deep dark undertone tan, this one is great. Once you rinse the guide off, I feel like it's more of a true red bronzed undertone rather than super olive. So it does look really natural. What I really liked about this one was how it more so accurately mimicked the undertone that my skin produces when I get tan. So for those of you that do have a more olive skinned undertone, I really think you'll like this one. I would not probably recommend this to beginners though, just because it is so dark, but there are other formulas that are lighter and not quite as dark. But for those of you who just want like the ultimate deep dark olive undertone tan, this one, really great. The darkest one I tried. Next darkest tan I tried was the Neutrogena Micro Mist in Deep Intensity. Now this one is an aerosol and it does not have a guide, so it's a little bit trickier. The fluid that comes out of this is completely clear, so what you basically go by is the shine on your skin and trying to figure out where you've already placed it. This one was the second darkest that I tried, so I really did like the color it produced. And you can either apply this directly to the skin, like straight up spray it all over yourself, but then if you kind of get some of the product on the floor and then you step on the mist that you've already sprayed, then you can kind of get orange feet and it's a mess. So what I like to do with these types of products is spray them onto a mitt and then apply it to the skin like that. And then you will see there will be like a little bit of a glisten on the skin, and that's kind of how I judged where I had already put the color. Now this one, I will say the fragrance is quite strong. So if you're someone who's sensitive to fragrance, that's one thing I noted was I didn't think people who are sensitive to fragrance will like this one because it does have a quite strong floral fragrance, but the color produced was really beautiful. And you can look at this as a con or not as a con. Because it's clear and doesn't have a guide, you could potentially wear this throughout the day and let it develop. But I did feel like this one did kind of leave my skin slightly tacky to the touch, even though I wore it to bed. And even when I woke up in the morning, I felt like my armpits, like when I would lift them up like this, like I could feel the skin kind of sticking in any areas where I'm bending, you know, like inside of the elbows, underarms, behind the knee, stuff like that. I did feel slightly sticky, but if that's something that doesn't bother you, then you could be one of the people who wears this out during the day. I would say this one does take a full 8 hours to develop. The color is really beautiful. It's definitely a lot lighter than the Mind Tan, but you know, somewhere in the middle. It's still gonna be a little bit too dark, so if you're a little bit more on the fair side, you might not wanna go for the one that's as deep as this. So pros, beautiful color, no guide. That could be a pro or a con. It could be a pro if you're somebody who wants to wear it throughout the day, or a con if you're somebody who really likes to see where you've already placed the color. But another major con for this one for me was the stickiness. But if you can look past all that, the color it produces is worth it. So you kinda gotta take it for what you will. Next up we have the L'Oreal Sublime Mousse Bronzing Water in the shade Medium. Now I wanted to show you guys both of these because it comes in two different types of packaging and it's the same thing. So one is clear, as you guys can see it's clear, and then one is brown. It's the same shade, it's the same exact product. I tried them both, it was the same thing. I don't know why there's two different variations in packaging, but just something to be aware of. It does have different packaging, which can kind of be misleading because you might think this one would be darker, but it's the same. They're both the shade Medium. So this one, on my skin, I feel like it didn't produce that much color. Generally speaking, I do like a little bit more of a deeper tan, but for those of you who are a little bit more fair or don't want as dramatic of a tan, this is a great one. Another con to this one, there is no guide. It is completely clear, comes out like a foamy mousse like this one, but you can't so much see it because again, you're gonna kind of have to go by where you see the wet product on your skin. I like to apply the mousses with a mitt. This one has a really nice coconut fragrance, so I think it's a little bit more appealing and it's not quite as strong as this one, as the Neutrogena one. It's a little bit more of a light coconut fragrance, and I feel like that actually kind of is nice because the next morning when you start smelling the DHA, you don't smell so much like DHA, you smell a little bit more coconutty and nice. But this one was really great because I found this one to be super moisturizing. And I did really like how I felt like I wasn't sticky to the touch. It's slightly tacky, but nowhere as sticky as the Neutrogena one. So it's just a really nice, light feeling tan on the skin. In terms of developing, I would say, again, give it that full 6 to 8 hours just so you can really see the color fully, you know, taken to that full transition. So I did really like this one. Great for beginners because the color produced is nothing too extreme, even though it is a medium. I don't think it's a medium that you guys should be afraid of because it's a very nice light natural medium. Next up, we have the L'Oreal Sublime Tanning Mist. And one thing I wanted to share with you guys, just for reference, is that this one is actually in the shade medium, as well as the other L'Oreal Sublime Bronzing Water, which is in the shade medium. But I feel like the tanning mist actually gave me maybe half a shade to a full shade darker of a tan. And I feel like this one was more of a true bronze, whereas the water was just kind of a light dusting of sun-kissed. Do you know what I mean? Like, this one was more of a true kind of bronzy tone of a tan. So I did like that this one was slightly darker. Something else to keep in mind though, it is an aerosol, so you would probably want to apply it to a mitt and then apply it to the skin. But there is no guide, so again, you have to go off of the Glisten. But you know, you don't always need a guide. It's just something that I personally really like. But I really liked the color produced from this one. And this one, even though it's an aerosol, I did not feel like this one left me sticky. So it did dry down. I will say it probably took about, pull up my notes here. So the Sublime Bronzing Spray, I said this one took about 30 to 40 minutes to dry down, but then once it dried down, I did not feel sticky at all. Whereas with the Neutrogena one, felt a little bit sticky the whole entire 8 hours. So this one, a little bit sticky first application, but then after that, it dries down, you can go to bed, it's not gonna transfer off. And it's really nice because once you wake up in the morning, even though you didn't have a guide, you just wake up and you're magically brown. So I did really like the color from this one, and it is slightly darker than this one. So just something to keep in mind. They could be, you know, from the same brand and the same shade, but the shade produced is gonna be a little bit different. The last one I'm gonna speak about is the Jergens Instant Sun Mousse in the shade Deep Bronze. Now, I was expecting this one to be quite dark, quite bronze, but it was actually a really nice, light, natural tan. So for those of you who do have a more fair skin tone, I think the Jergens one is actually a really safe bet because even though it says Deep Bronze, it's definitely on a scale of like 1 to 5. I feel like it gave me like a 2 or 3. It was definitely not as dark as I was anticipating, which I actually kind of liked because I think it's better to recommend all different types of tans on a scale for you guys. So I really like this one. It has a guide, which is really nice. Comes out as a mousse. You apply it to a mitt. You can see where you're applying it. This one I did say in my notes, I did say that this one stayed sticky for a few hours, but then when I woke up in the morning, I didn't feel sticky. I felt like it had fully dried down. So just something to keep in mind. It was a little bit stickier, longer with this one than some of the other ones, but I really liked this one. It wasn't drying. I didn't feel like it smelled horrible, and I was just really happy with the color produced. I wasn't super picky in terms of this one. So this is a great light medium tan that has a guide to it, whereas a lot of times the lighter or medium tans don't even come with guides. So this is a great option if you just want a little bit of sun-kissed color and you want a guide so you can really be sure of where you're placing your color. This was a great option, so I really liked this one. One last product that I really wanted to recommend to you guys when you're trying to keep up with your tan throughout the week and, you know, not have to reapply the tan every day. A really great standby, it's what I use for whatever self-tanner I'm using, is the Jergens Natural Glow. This is so good. Mine is so dirty because it's with all my self-tan stuff. It comes in, I think, 2 or 3 different shades. I like medium to tan, and you guys can see the little diagram on the back. It shows you, you know, after you use it for a few days, it just builds the tan slowly. But it's great to apply every single night when you're wearing a tan because it'll just kind of keep everything looking even. And I do find that the Jergens Natural Glow helps my spray tans, you know, self-tan, fake tan, whatever you want to call it. It helps it fade more evenly as it starts fading. So instead of getting like a weird patchy fade, you'll get a more graceful, gradual fade because this will just help keep everything nice and tan and nice and moisturized. So definitely if you guys are gonna be getting a tan, I would say also be sure to pick up some Natural Glow because it just makes things fade better and also last longer. But also, if you don't want to go in with a full-blown fake tan, this is great. It's just a great basic gradual tanner that you can apply every day, and then in about 5 days you'll be like, whoa, I'm all of a sudden tan. So it's a great product. It's a standby. It is always in my bathroom. It is always under my bathroom sink because I use this stuff every single night. I stock up on it. I swear by it. One of my absolute favorites. A couple things I want to touch on with you guys really quickly before we end the video. I chose these tans because I think that they are the most user-friendly. I think they're beginner-friendly. I think that they produce the best, most natural-looking shades. I tried a ton that made me look orange. And I also think that they're just the easiest to use. That's really what it comes down to. The color is great. They're easy to use. They weren't drying on the skin, and I felt like they just looked the most realistic in terms of color produced. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't used a lot of tan and you are feeling kind of confused about it, and you're a true beginner, I really think the best one for you is going to be the Jergens Instant Sun. It comes in mousse formula, it has a guide, and the color produced is nothing extreme. So you can apply it with a mitt and it's easy breezy. If you're an experienced tanner, then I think if you haven't used an aerosol, I think you could actually really like these. The color produced is really nice, caramel bronzy shade. These aerosol tans, although they are tricky to use, as long as you're being mindful of where you're applying the product and really, you know, checking for the glisten on your skin, you won't have as bad of a mishap as you would probably think you would. And the aerosols are also really great for the face because I really like how you can airbrush these onto the face and the neck and the chest area, and they look really, really natural, and then you don't have to do the mitt. The other upper hand that aerosols have is when you're using like the mousse ones, you really got to get on your back and stuff and like contort yourself to tan your back. The aerosol, you can spray your own back. So that is really a major key. The aerosols are great for any tricky to hit areas like your back or the back of the legs or your bum, stuff like that. That's when an aerosol really comes in handy, and just, you know, lightly grazing the face and stuff like that. So I think that is everything I wanted to cover in this video, guys. I really hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments down below. I will always do my best to get back to every single one of you guys and help you guys with all of these tans. If you would like to see a tanning routine, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I can get that up for you guys. And I think that is everything I wanted to touch on in this video. I had so much to talk about. I really think we covered it all in this video. I hope the reference pictures were helpful. Please let me know if they were. And yeah, they'll all be listed and linked in the description box down below, as well as the undertones for each individual tan. I'll let you guys know the undertones in case you missed it in the video. But other than that, I hope you guys like this video. Leave a comment. I want to talk to you. Please be sure to subscribe if you didn't earlier, and please be sure to come follow me on Instagram too. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye, guys.